Very good morning to you. My name is Elcia Grandcourt. I'm the Regional Director at UN Tourism, and it's my great pleasure and honor to be here in the wonderful setting of Livingstone. Allow me first to start by thanking Honorable Minister Rodney Sikumba, as well as the government of Zambia, for the wonderful hosting of this three-day summit, whereby we've brought together ministers of tourism from two regions, being the Africa region and the Americas region. This is a momentous occasion because it's the first of its kind that we're doing in Africa, but it's the second edition. We started the initiative last year in Punta Cana, and we're celebrating the second edition right here in Livingstone, Zambia. A couple of points and key takeaways from this event over the past 3 days. As you know, we started off with a technical workshop whereby we looked at the challenges that are being faced on the continent, being fostering resilience and security in the tourism sector, as well as air connectivity. And we brought this through the ministerial debate, whereby we heard ministers re-emphasizing the importance of strengthening that South-South cooperation between the two regions, but more so going beyond coming out with concrete solutions, whereby we can have tangible results with activities that really brings the two regions together. We are so diverse, but we are so complementary at the same time, be it culturally, historically. But I think more so what is important is that whatever we do, we need to ensure that the impact trickles down to the community, because after all, this is what our role is as UN Tourism, and through these past years under the leadership of Zurab Pululikashvili, this is what we've been charting out for Africa under the UN Tourism Agenda for Africa. These key themes that is being discussed over the 2 days are anchored into this agenda, whereby we want to see continuous growth, especially in the tourism sector here in the continent, but also with the Americas.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's lovely to hear. So coming to the end and to the summary of this event, what are you expecting? What are you looking forward to see?
Okay, couple of things. Obviously to visit the wonderful setting that we are in, but I think more so is to see what happens from here. The two regions, when we go back, some ministers has told us during the debate yesterday, some ideas, some guidance, whereby we look at what has been discussed, but then we take it to the national level. The national level being to see, because each country is at different levels, the sharing of best practices between countries also is what we're going to be looking at, but also have to give youth more opportunities in being able to get that entrepreneurial mindset, and in continuing to come up with new ideas to develop the tourism sector further. But also, when we talk about connectivity, which is very critical for both regions, we will be bringing the discussion to Luanda in Angola in July, 22nd to 24th of July, whereby we will be collaborating with ICAO, our partner UN agency, to talk to ministers of tourism and transport about the challenges and opportunities that exist within the travel and tourism sector. And there we are looking at how best to support countries to implement, for example, the SATAM, which is the single air transport market. When we talk about visas, we know that today here the CASA Uni visa is working, but we need to continue to encourage members to move towards electronic visas on arrival, to facilitate and make the travel more seamless for the visitors coming to the destinations.
So PS Muhanga, you attended the first opening session and you gave a keynote speech.
Sure.
Are you able to share with us from a high level in terms of the key points that you were driving across in your speech you delivered this morning?
First of all, it's to make sure that there is heightened awareness of the destination Zambia itself, and in particular Livingstone, where this summit is being held. So the idea was to welcome all the delegates. As you know, this CAFCAM, it's a commission for Africa and commission for America's ministers of tourism, who are here on a shared vision of South-to-South cooperation. So it's important that they know in the destination where they've come, because that's an opportunity for us. But if you've seen, after welcoming them, the technical meetings started to happen as well. And within the theme of innovation, the theme of actually cooperation and investments as well, you have seen that we were talking about the legacy of what has happened actually in the tourism sector in terms of growth. That's quite important. But we are coming from the backdrop of COVID, and post-COVID numbers are showing tremendous growth in all the sectors within the industry. But it doesn't happen by mistake, as they are talking about. You have to think pre-crisis, and also when the crisis comes, and also post-crisis, what do you do to ensure that there is resilience in your strategy? So it's very, very important. But for nature-based type of tourism, we have seen also in terms of how do we ensure that there is sustainability. We need to embrace, digital innovation to ensure that the world, as it moves in its dynamics of big data analytics, and for tourists who also know destinations from the digital platforms, they should be able to access that information easily. And this is why we need the young techs, those young people, for the jobs that this industry creates. You heard that if you invest much more in tourism, there are more jobs to be created actually. Not just core tourism sectors, but subsectors as well, in transport, in those that are in the value chain like agriculture, industry. They will be able to benefit. The hotels themselves, because they are consumers of all these things that come from tourism. So people to people, transportation, and everything else that you talk about. So that crisis, you'll be able to deal with it. We saw that. But they were also talking about examples of what happened in certain destinations like France, when there was that fire at Eiffel Towers itself. How do you come back and ensure that you can be able to reposition yourself and be a destination of choice? Also cooperation, people to people, and knowing the best practices that we talked about it as well. And there are sidelines that have been happening within the course of the meeting. So we just had, for example, from Dominican Republic, which has grown tremendously from 2 million in 5 years to 10, 11 million tourists visiting their country. So there are more tourists than actually the population of Dominican Republic itself. And there are many examples like that. We had Colombia doing 5-6 million. So this element of sharing knowledge, sharing best practices is what will come out of this CAFCAM meeting, because South-to-South cooperation, what does it mean? This basically people movement from South Americas, from Africa, and interchange of trade as well. That's quite important. But also exchange of ideas, exchange of technology, and what has worked there, so that we don't reinvent the wheel. So in a nutshell, that's what I can be able to say. That's my major takeout. And as we join even the ministers' meetings tomorrow, SG Zurab will be able to open it as well. And I like the passion, the strategy that he's taken, the friendship of the UNTO. He's the only SG so far that has brought, Africa to the forefront on the decision tables. The CAF is also very, very active now as Commission of Africa, because they're going to have it in June, for example, before their General Assembly that will happen in Riyadh in November. So the whole roadmap, the whole milestones that are happening within the tourism sector, it's very deliberate. And as the President said yesterday when he paid a courtesy call on him, the idea is to make sure that we are deliberate, we are intentional about what we want to do in the sector. And that's what Zambia is doing. And he demonstrated that, looking at the expanse of Zambia, 750,000 square kilometers of a country, it's quite relatively huge. And how do you make sure that connectivity by road is there? But also, how do you start moving tourists from one town to the other. So we're doing connectivity, for example, Livingstone with Kafue National Park, South Ruangwa National Park, and Liua National Park as well through the Great TDP project. Where are we doing that to ensure length of stay for our tourists? When they come, we can be able to move them around this whole circuit, but also the longer they stay, the more money they spend in the destination, and obviously more jobs are created, and those who get jobs, they start paying taxes as well, but also for the services that they consume, government starts to generate the taxes that are required to give the services that are needed also for the people that might indirectly not be involved even in tourism, or not directly involved rather, but they'll enjoy the services through funding of CDF. How does money from CDF come? It's from the taxes that government collects. But so when you see, it is all connected, and that's what this government is all about. So it's very intentional, very deliberate about the tourism sector growth going forward.
Thank you so much, Madam Maureen, for joining us today. So today marks officially day 2 of the second UN Tourism CAMCAF Summit, which is being held right here in Livingstone, Zambia. Please give us your expectations for this event.
This event is the second edition of UN Tourism Summit that brings together Africa and the Americas regions to deliberate on issues around tourism growth and development. And the expectations from this event, actually is already like halfway done, is how can we deliberate from these two regions and share ideas, share experiences and knowledge, and collaborate on how we can grow the tourism sector, because the Americas and the Africa region face some similarities in terms of the marketplace, similarities in terms of the challenges and opportunities that these two regions are going through.
Okay, so yesterday was officially day 1. Can you please give us your brief highlights from the day 1 of the CAMCAF Summit?
Day 1 yesterday had 2 workshops. The first workshop was on security and crisis management, and that was very insightful on the aspects of how can we be better prepared when the crisis strike. And we got some case studies on how some crises were handled. And the second workshop, which I facilitated, was on how can we bolster tourism through intra-regional connectivity and visa facilitation policies. That was a workshop that brought together from the two regions, Africa and Americas, technical experts. I did some presentation on the state of the industry. The discussions were very insightful from the participants on what can we do to drive forward tourism in Africa and Americas.
Okay, lovely to hear. So going forward with this CAMCAF Summit, what are you personally looking forward to see?
Personally, what I'm looking for, just to focus a little on the outcomes of the second workshop on intra-regional connectivity, is on the key points that came off from the participants. We had some key focus areas. First of all was the intra-regional connectivity. We did a deep down on the single African air transport market. Why is SATAM important for us? We looked at the aspects of if we have SATAM effectively implemented, the benefits to airlines are such that we can have a better connected Africa. Benefits to participants of the workshop, benefits to passengers, is looking at the ease of moving from one country to another in Africa. We got some examples where some participants took 2.5 days to come to attend this conference. This is unacceptable in this day and age. We also looked at the visa openness, the situation that is currently there, and what we need to do to streamline the visa processes. In Africa, the key issue that came out is, if you compare with Americas, we have a lot to learn. The case of Argentina, when Gustavo Santos, in his intervention, he shared the experience of Argentina, looking at when the visa processing was streamlined, there was a huge increase in passenger numbers to the country, about 8% in 1 year. So this was a case in point where in Africa, if we can streamline visa processing, we can make it easier for Africans to travel, then the results are actually very clear. A challenge for Africans is, on average, an African needs to have a visa to travel to 34 countries. 34 countries. And if you look at the other regions, for example, the Schengen zone, within the region, the citizens do not need a visa. So some of these very low-lying actions that we can take from our own African states can streamline the processes, can make the ease of travel and access much easier.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So we are here attending the second UN Tourism CAMCAF Summit here in Livingstone. Please give us your brief highlights concerning this event.
Thank you. Like you have said, my name is Rebecca Miano, the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife from Kenya. This is my third day here in Livingstone, attending the second UN Tourism Africa and Americas Commission, and it has been quite an engaging session. And on the first day, we all congregated, and it was a time to open dialogues and to forge partnerships. And some of the highlights of the discussions that we have had today is the progress that we have seen in the tourism sector in the two continents. Very happy that the sector is on an upward trajectory. We were shown the numbers and the graphs indicating that the two continents are doing quite well in terms of the growth for tourism. We also discussed issues that we need to focus on, and specifically issues of connectivity, and that is air connectivity and other infrastructure. We have seen that that is a very big barrier. Some of the delegates that came here to Livingstone had up to 36 hours of travel because of indirect connections, and there were great ideas on how we can have better connectivity and better access. The other discussion was on visa openness, countries being encouraged to have free movement of people, because tourism is a socio-economic activity. It's about people, and it will not thrive if there is no visa openness. We then looked at technology, and we know that the world has become a global village. Each country needs to have technology, and we know that digital literacy is critical for tourism. And the other topic and highlight was the importance of free zones for investment in tourism facilities. And African countries and the Americas countries are encouraged to set up free zones where we can have tourism facilities like hotels, conferences, retirement homes, entertainment joints, all in a free zone. And one of the other most exciting topics is the role of the youth and innovation to spur or revolutionize the tourism sector. We appreciate that, especially in Africa, 70% of populations in African countries, 70% is youth. And the youth in Africa are energetic. The youth in Africa are many. They are energetic, they are innovative, they are digitally literate, and we really need to get jobs for them and encourage them to be entrepreneurs, to come up with new products using innovation, and that these are really, really exciting ideas. The final highlight I would like to bring up is on crisis management, preparation for crisis. We are all prone to crisis, and crisis affects tourism directly, so there is need for preparedness and there is need for swift crisis management so that our destinations, both Africa and the Americas, remain resilient in terms of crisis. And of course, we need to address other challenges of sustainability and climate change. So in all, the Zambia second tourism summit, ministerial summit, has been a resounding success. And the conversations, if they continue, we are going to see quite a lot of progress in the promotion and development of tourism in the two continents.
Following the processions and the proceedings that have been going on, please give us your brief overview of this summit.
I think it's a good summit because it's put a link Africa and America. Know that we have some cultural things that bring us together, and there is a lot of opportunity of investment between South and South, because always we're thinking about investment coming for North to South. But now I think is a place that we can create a new platform and new paradigms between Africa and Latin America. And it's a place that we discover some opportunity for us as countries to build new business relation with America. It was also an opportunity to sell an event. We are organizing the first World Music and Tourism Festival in Kinshasa between the 16th and 18th of July. And it was a place to meet the people and to explain what we are going to do. It's the first time that we organize this kind of event in the world that's going to take place in my country, and people come from all over the world to present their music, their culture, and also the destination. If they want to sell like Zambia, there is a place that can sell the gastronomy, the music place, and all the image, the soft power of the country. And I think it's going to be a big place to get together as African and as people all over the world. It's more about investment in infrastructure, because I think is one of the lack we have, and also about connectivity. To come in Zambia, I have to go to South Africa, then take a plane and come here. And this takes time, sometimes like 8 hours, 10 hours. But if I go straight from Kinshasa to Lusaka, it's going to take less time. And for a tourist, it's important that you don't waste your time in the plane. You have to waste your time when you arrive at destination and take time to visit places. And I think it was one of the message we received here is how to increase investment between America and Africa, and also to see what kind of things we have to do to improve also connectivity. Oh, I just invite everybody to come in Kinshasa for my festival, taking place from the 16th to the 18th of July. And I think it's going to be a good place to exchange experience and to make African and American, European closer. And it also be a festival theme was going to be peace in DRC and peace in Africa.
Okay, so we managed to attend your very insightful workshop, and we just want to hear a brief overview of what you had to say concerning crisis management in tourism.
Absolutely. The UN Tourism has been involved in fostering the resilience of destination through the learning of best practices, good ideas, challenges. The idea here is whatever a destination is facing in terms of challenging natural disasters, security issues, man-made disasters, that's most of the time the same problem for just about everyone. And so what works well somewhere can be replicated elsewhere. A few years ago at UN Tourism, we published a white paper on safety and security in tourism. And we've done that during the pandemic, during the lockdown actually. How did everyone learn from the pandemic? And what we did with this technical workshop here in Livingstone is really focusing on best practices from some countries, what worked in crisis management, how much coordination and preparation is relevant, is important for crisis management in resilience, in order really to foster a sense of safety and security for visitors. The changing I'm expecting to see is further crisis management preparation, really in terms of coordination for emergency responders, for government, in order to really to show to visitors from all over the world that should, let's say, a natural disaster happen to that country, it will be ready to face it. And quite a lot of countries have managed that well. And what we are trying to do is really to understand what works, what challenges there are, and in order for all the countries to benefit from it.